Hey everyone, and a massive welcome to today's video. Before we dive into anything else, I want to take a quick moment to send out my sincerest well wishes to you and your loved ones. Wherever you are in the world, I genuinely hope you are feeling happy, strong, and in the very best of health. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here, and today, we're going to explore one of the most mind-boggling and fascinating parts of the human body. We're going to talk about a structure so long that its very existence inside your abdomen seems to defy logic and physics. We're going to journey deep into your digestive system to explore the incredible small intestine and the fact that if you were to carefully stretch it out, it would measure over 6 meters, or more than 20 feet, in length. That's longer than most cars and even taller than a giraffe. It sounds impossible, right? How can something so long fit inside of us? Well, get ready, because the way your body packs this incredible organ away is just the beginning of the story. To really appreciate the small intestine, we first need to understand its job. Think of your digestive system as a complex production line. Your mouth is where the raw materials, your food, first come in. Your stomach acts like a powerful industrial mixer and grinder, churning everything up with strong acids and enzymes to break it down into a soupy liquid called chyme. But this is just pre-processing. The real magic, the place where almost all the actual nourishment from your food enters your body, happens next in the small intestine. Its primary mission is absorption. It's responsible for taking all the broken down nutrients, the tiny molecules of sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals, and transferring them from the inside of your gut into your bloodstream so they can be delivered to every single cell in your body to provide energy, building materials, and instructions for keeping you alive and healthy. This is arguably one of the most critical processes for sustaining life, and the small intestine is brilliantly designed for this task. Its incredible length is the very first part of that design. Length equals surface area. The longer the tube, the more inner wall space there is available for absorbing nutrients. But evolution didn't stop there. It employed some absolutely ingenious tricks to maximize this surface area to a degree that is almost unimaginable, creating an absorptive powerhouse within the confined space of your belly. So, let's tackle that big question first. How on earth does a tube over 6 meters long fit inside your abdomen? The secret isn't that our bodies are giant caverns. It's all about efficient packaging. The small intestine isn't just stuffed in there randomly like a pile of rope. It is meticulously organized and suspended in loops by a very special membrane called the mesentery. For a long time, doctors and scientists thought the mesentery was just a collection of separate fragmented tissues that held the intestines in place. But relatively recent research has revealed that it is actually one continuous, fan-shaped structure that attaches from the back of your abdominal cavity to your entire small intestine and part of your large intestine. Think of it as a beautiful, intricate curtain or a radish sprout, with the root attached to your spine and the leaves wrapping around and supporting the intestinal tube. This arrangement allows the long, flexible intestine to coil and loop back on itself repeatedly, fitting snugly within the abdominal space alongside your other organs. It's also through this mesentery that the all-important blood vessels, nerves, and lymphatic vessels travel to and from the intestine, supplying it with oxygen and instructions and carrying away the precious absorbed nutrients. This clever looping and suspending system is a masterpiece of anatomical packing, allowing for extreme length in a compact area. Now, length alone gives it a lot of surface area. If you had a simple, smooth tube that was 6 meters long, it would have a decent amount of lining for absorption. But the small intestine is far from smooth. This is where the design gets truly spectacular. The inner wall of the small intestine is not flat. It is folded into hundreds of thousands of large, circular wrinkles called plicicirculars. These are permanent, spiral folds that stick out into the hollow space inside the intestine, called the lumen. If you were to look at a cross-section, it would look a bit like the ruffles on a curtain or the ridges on a sock. These folds do a simple but powerful thing. They triple the available surface area compared to a flat tube of the same length. But the body didn't stop there. Covering the entire surface of these folds are tiny, finger-like projections called villi. Imagine looking at those curtain ruffles under a microscope and seeing that each ruffle is covered in millions of these small, soft, hair-like structures. Each villus is about 1 millimeter high, and they give the inner lining of the intestine a velvety, carpet-like appearance. This forest of villi increases the surface area another 10 times. So now we have a surface area that is 30 times greater than that of a simple, smooth tube. And the ingenuity goes even deeper, down to the cellular level. Each villus is not a solid finger. It's covered in thousands of individual cells called enterocytes, which are the specialized absorptive cells. And on the top surface of each one of these cells, facing the intestinal lumen, is what's known as a brush border. This is not just a smooth cell membrane. It's made up of hundreds of even smaller, microscopic projections called microvilli. They look like tiny bristles on a hairbrush, which is where the name comes from. This brush border of microvilli increases the surface area for absorption another 20 times. Let's just pause and think about that for a second. We started with a 6-meter-long tube. We folded it with plicae circulars. We covered those folds in villi. And then we covered those villi in cells that are themselves covered in microvilli. This multi-level amplification is breathtaking. Altogether, these adaptations take the surface area of the small intestine from a few square meters of a smooth tube to an astounding absorption surface of over 250 square meters. That's roughly the size of a full-size tennis court, all packed neatly inside your belly. This is the true secret behind the small intestine's power. It's not just its length. It's this massively amplified surface area that allows your body to efficiently grab every last bit of nutrition from the food you eat. The villi aren't just there for show. They are highly active, functional structures. Each tiny villus is like a self-contained absorption factory. Inside its core, it has a network of tiny blood vessels, capillaries, and a special vessel called a lacteal, which is part of the lymphatic system. The blood capillaries are responsible for absorbing the water-soluble nutrients. When your food is broken down into its simplest forms, proteins become amino acids and carbohydrates become simple sugars like glucose. These small molecules are transported across the enterocyte cells on the surface of the villus and then dumped directly into these capillaries. From there, they travel through the mesentery's veins, converge into larger veins, and head straight to the liver for processing before being distributed to the rest of the body. The lacteal, on the other hand, has a different job. It's designed to absorb fats. Fats are broken down into fatty acids and glycerol, and they are packaged by the intestinal cells into tiny droplets called chylomicrons. These are too large to enter the blood capillaries directly, so they instead enter the lacteal. The lacteal carries this creamy, fat-rich fluid, now called chyle, through the lymphatic system, which eventually drains it back into the bloodstream near the neck. This is how the fats from your food make their way into your circulation. So, each villus is a bustling port, with different docks for different types of cargo, all ensuring that nutrients find their correct pathway into your body. Of course, for absorption to happen, the food has to be broken down into those tiny molecules first. This is where the small intestine gets some major help from its friends, the pancreas and the liver. The soupy mixture of partially digested food, the chyme, enters the small intestine from the stomach. The stomach is very acidic, so the first order of business is to neutralize that acidity. The pancreas, a gland located behind the stomach, secretes a powerful bicarbonate-rich juice into the small intestine. This bicarbonate is a base that neutralizes the acidic chyme, creating a neutral environment that is perfect for the next stage of digestion. The pancreatic juice also contains a whole army of digestive enzymes. Enzymes are like biological scissors that cut large molecules into smaller pieces. Pancreatic amylase continues breaking down carbohydrates. Trypsin and chymotrypsin are powerful enzymes that chop proteins into peptides and amino acids. Lipase is the enzyme specialized for cutting fats into fatty acids and glycerol. The liver also contributes to this process by producing bile. Bile isn't an enzyme. It's more like a detergent. It's stored and concentrated in the gallbladder and released into the small intestine when fats are present. Fats and water don't mix. They separate, like oil and vinegar. Bile acts as an emulsifier, breaking large globules of fat into trillions of tiny microscopic droplets. This process, called emulsification, dramatically increases the surface area of the fat, making it much easier for the lipase enzyme to get in and do its job of breaking it down. So, the small intestine is not working alone. It's the central hub of a collaborative effort, receiving essential supplies from the pancreas and liver to prepare the food for its final absorption. The process itself isn't passive, like just waiting for things to seep through a membrane. It's an active, controlled process that requires energy. The cells lining the intestine, the enterocytes, have to work hard. They use energy to pump certain nutrients from the gut lumen into the cell and then out into the bloodstream, even if the concentration in the blood is higher. This is called active transport. For example, glucose is often actively transported against its concentration gradient to ensure we absorb all of it, even if our blood sugar is already decently high. Other nutrients, like water, are absorbed through passive diffusion, moving from an area of high concentration, the intestine, to an area of lower concentration, the blood. The entire inner surface, with its microvilli, is a hive of this constant cellular activity. But what moves the food along this 6-meter-long, tennis court-sized surface? You don't want the food slurry to just sit in one place. This is where the intestine's muscles come into play. The wall of the small intestine has layers of smooth muscle. These muscles are not under your voluntary control. They work automatically. They perform two types of movements. The first is segmentation. This is a rhythmic contraction that happens in localized segments, chopping the contents back and forth, mixing them thoroughly with the digestive juices from the pancreas and liver, and ensuring the chyme has maximum contact with the villi for absorption. It looks less like a squeezing tube and more like someone pinching the intestine in multiple places simultaneously, creating a series of isolated chambers that contract and relax. After most of the absorption has occurred in a particular segment, the second type of movement takes over, peristalsis. This is a wave-like motion where the circular muscles behind the digested material contract while the muscles in front of them relax, pushing the remaining contents steadily forward toward the large intestine. It's a slow, gradual process, which is why it takes hours for food to complete its journey through this long, winding road. This entire incredible system highlights why the small intestine's length is so vital. The digestion and absorption of nutrients is a complex biochemical process that takes time. The 6-meter length provides not just the surface area, but also the necessary time for this processing to be completed thoroughly. Food spends several hours traveling through the small intestine, being mixed, digested, and absorbed segment by segment. If it were shorter, the transit time would be too fast, and we would miss out on absorbing a significant portion of our food, leading to malnutrition and deficiency. The length ensures that by the time the leftover waste material reaches the end of the line and passes into the large intestine, the body has had every possible chance to extract every last bit of useful nutrition from it. It's a truly humbling thought. Inside each of us right now is a structure of such magnificent complexity and elegant design, working silently and efficiently around the clock to sustain our very existence. It's a winding, coiled highway lined with a velvety, microscopic forest, where billions of cells work in perfect harmony to turn the food we eat into the energy that powers our thoughts, our movements, and our lives. The small intestine, over 6 meters long, is a profound testament to the wonders of human biology, a masterpiece of natural engineering that deserves our awe and respect. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through your own body. Take care of that amazing small intestine by feeding it well with nutritious foods, and as always, stay happy and healthy.